Welcome to the Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 Iceberg. If you don't know what an iceberg is pretty much a giant trivia sheet. Starting all the way at the top is the most commonly known facts about a topic, and moving all the way down to the bottom are the least commonly known facts about a topic. For today, we of course have the Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 Iceberg, and this iceberg is of course made by me, so we have a lot of entries to cover. So without any further ado, let's hop right into it. Dragon Ball Super Broly. This is referring to the intro of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 where Gogeta actually fights Broly. A lot of fans, and I wouldn't even be surprised if the movie was inspired off of this scene, where Super Gogeta fights Dragon Ball Z Broly in an epic, awesomely animated battle. Looking back at it after Dragon Ball Super Broly came out, it is insane how this ended up happening, where Gogeta actually fought Broly in the intro to one of the most popular Dragon Ball Z games. Even today, this fight and the intro itself still hold up fantastically. Dragon Arena. Dragon Arena is referring to the secret unlockable mode inside of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, where the Dragon Arena is pretty much, think of like an RPG where you can level up your character. Through the game's Dragon Universe mode, you actually level up your character when going through the story mode. However, Dragon Universe only has a sedentary amount of characters you can play as with their own stories. However, Dragon Arena actually expands the amount of characters you can play to the entire roster, and you can level them all up to a max of 99 and customize how they fight specifically. There's a lot of stats you can customize, and raising these stats you can challenge characters all the way up to level 99 as well to give yourself a great challenge. You can also use a password system in order to unlock certain characters created by other people from across the world. Budokai 4. Budokai 4, like Tenkaichi 4, is the fan-requested game of legend right behind Tenkaichi 4, which has been announced. Budokai 4 unfortunately has not, but at this rate, if Tenkaichi 4 can get announced, I'm certain Budokai 4 can be announced as well. HD Collection Music. In 2013, Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1 and 3 were re-released on an HD collection for Xbox 360 and PS3. However, due to the music producer being accused of plagiarism, the music was all changed. This, of course, has sparked a ton of outcry from fans, and with the omission of Budokai 2, the HD collection is seen as nothing but a shameless cash grab. Plus, with unnecessary censorship in the HD version, I would also personally recommend going with the original Budokai 3 on the PlayStation 2. Dragon Rush. The Dragon Rush is a very unique mechanic inside of Budokai 3, which is only activated in a special state called Hyper Mode inside of Budokai 3. When you finish a combo, there's a chance a Dragon Rush will start, in which you need to pretty much play rock, paper, scissors with 4 options against your enemy. This feature is hated by a lot of people, and I can definitely see why, because there's a random element to what is a very good skill-based game, but the cinematography of this animation alone has made it one of my and a few other people's favorite mechanics of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, and it really makes it stand out from its successor, Dragon Ball Z Infinite World. Next Gen Remasters. Next Gen Remasters is referring to the fan request, and many people's request in general, of having Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, 2, 1, etc. all ported to the Xbox Series X, the PlayStation 5, the PC, and all that. The closest thing you can get to this is the Budokai 3 HD collection, and of course emulator. Start on Destroyed Arena. Start on Destroyed Arena is referring to the versus mode of the game, where if you hover over a stage and instead of pressing the X button you press circle, or A on Xbox or B on controller, if you press circle or B on the stage instead of A, you'll actually load onto the stage's destroyed version. This works with all the stages barring like the Hyperbolic Time Chamber Supreme Kai's world. This of course will allow you to add a lot of flavor to your fights, and you can add a ton of replay value to the game. Visual Novel. Visual Novel is referring to the game's Dragon Universe mode, in which the game is pretty much told through a visual novel standpoint, with cutout portraits of the characters expressing various emotion through dialogues and retelling the story in a very unique way. This has not been done in any other game minus pretty much Attack of the Saiyans on the DS, and possibly some other unheard of game. I would like to personally see this feature come back, because I always really liked the way it was told, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people did too.
What? This creature is even more powerful than Frieza, but how? You must be Vegeta. My brother Frieza told me all about you and your little friends. Now I'm Super Vegito! Yeah, and... Oh!
Hyper Armor. Hyper Armor is once again referring to the hyper state inside of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3 in which you launch Dragon Rushes. Not only can you launch Dragon Rushes, you can also launch your ultimate attack, but you also get Hyper Armor and you get a brick wall effect from normal attacks. This is extremely broken, and once again another reason why people do not like Budokai 3 over Infinite World. I personally think it works pretty well because when it runs out, of course you get fatigued, but there is a serious balancing issue with this entire mode, especially with characters who have a ton more base ki than others. Cancel combos. Cancel combos are referring to the tech of the game in which you can do cancel combos. Pretty much pressing like kick, 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 and then canceling it by pressing guard. You can link this into other combos, and even the AI employ this technique against you in various battles. Cancel combos are the best way to get better at the game and to link combos together, and you can even link it into Dragon Rushes if you're good enough. Canceling takes a lot of time, but it can be mastered, and you can pull off some insane shenanigans, especially in training mode if recovery is turned off. Spirit Bomb. Spirit Bomb is referring to, of course, Goku, where he has the Spirit Bomb attack. Most people would pretty much think he only has the normal Super Spirit Bomb attack, when of course the one he defeated Kid Buu with. However, if you do not equip Super Saiyan or any of Goku's other transformations barring Kaioken, Goku will actually do a completely different Spirit Bomb animation in which he does the Spirit Bomb against Frieza. This is very cool and a very unique way of going about playing as Goku, because they could have just disabled the Spirit Bomb unless you're a Super Saiyan 1, but they actually gave him a completely new animation for the Spirit Bomb, and I'm not gonna lie, it looks fantastic, and I sometimes just play without the Super Saiyan skills just to see this awesome animation. Beam Struggles. Beam Struggles are referring to the Budokai 3 exclusive mechanic, another reason why fans like this over Infinite World. Both of them have pros, cons, but we're not going to get into that. Budokai 3 has Beam Struggles, where if characters use two beams at the same exact time, a collision will take place in which each player will need to rotate the control stick to outperform the other one in a beam battle to the death. It doesn't do as much damage and they don't last for too long, but they are a great spectacle and once again play into the fact that Budokai 3 cinematics are fantastic. Collector's Edition costumes. This is referring to not just the Collector's Edition, but the greatest hits version of Budokai 3 as well, and the HD collection, where, if you remember, I was talking about the password system. If you enter certain passwords into the game's password generator, you can actually unlock secret costumes for Goku, Trunks, and Piccolo respectively. Goku with the halo, Trunks with armor, and Demon King Piccolo. These costumes don't play any differently than their original counterparts, but it's just extra content you can unlock, and a way you can make your version of the game stand out from the original Budokai 3. Goku Scouter. Goku Scouter is referring to the game's Dragon Universe mode, more specifically Vegeta, Krillin, and Kid Gohan's Dragon Universe. Inside of their Dragon Universes, you actually fight Goku with the Scouter. This is of course meant to portray Ginyu wearing the Scouter in Goku's body, but this is actually Goku. They did not make Goku's model a second costume for Ginyu. This is Goku's third costume, which you cannot access by normal means. Goku will actually have the Scouter on in this costume with his actual voice, his attacks, everything about Goku that makes Goku is present in this costume here, and he only appears in this one fight in these three Dragon Universes.
Ready, set, go!
In fact, this is Goku's third costume, when his halo is his fourth costume. So if you can use like a cheat engine device, you can actually see when you're scrolling through the costumes that it skips over 3 to go to 4 to show it's one of Goku's inaccessible costumes. We Got a Power is of course referring to the capsule in the game called We Got a Power. What this does is increase your experience intake from Dragon Universe by a ton, and there being 5 variations of this capsule allows you to easily stack up a bunch of experience from the Dragon Universe mode. The difference with this capsule between Sparking and We Got a Power is We Got a Power is a reference to, of course, the opening song for Dragon Ball, We Got a Power. This capsule is very good, of course, which allows you to get a ton of XP, but it takes up a bunch of slots, so you need to plan out your loadout carefully. Stage transitions is of course referring to the stage transitions inside of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3. However, it should be noted, from Budokai 2, not a single one of them makes a return. Instead, we get all new stage transitions which all look fantastic, and some even change the map, like on the urban area. Dokkan Super Attack. Take a look for yourself. Removed Infinite World characters. This is referring to Oob, Supreme Kai, Cell Jr., and Kid Goku were actually removed from Budokai 3 when Infinite World was created. My guess is memory limitations is why this happened, but it really sucks that these guys got removed, especially Kid Goku, considering how he had his own ultimate attack, and then Kibito Kai also had his own fusion. Oob and Cell Jr. I guess I can kinda get, but it's weird how they didn't put Majin in Infinite World with the game that's very GT-centric. Removed What If. Like Remove Infinite World characters, Remove What If is referring to the removed content of Budokai 2, specifically the game's predecessor, and stuff like Tiencha, Boo, Frieza absorbed, Boo Cell absorbed, Boo Vegeta absorbed, and Goku and things like that, which were all removed from the game. Once again, my guess is memory limitations, because these games, of course, are very old, and I don't think it could fit all the stuff on the disc, especially with the game's massive story mode. Though I could be wrong on that. Cell's Spirit Bomb. This is a very common issue inside of all the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, and even the first Tenkaichi game, and even Xenoverse, where Cell will use the Spirit Bomb, have unique dialogue for it, and not only does he have unique dialogue, the Spirit Bomb is green in these games. And Xenoverse is blue, but in these games it's green. It's very weird though, because Cell of course never does the Spirit Bomb, he does the Solar Kamehameha. But I can tell you right now, it's definitely something extremely memorable about these old Dragon Ball games, Cell having the Spirit Bomb, and various other things like that. Enemies start transformed. Inside of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, barring Shin Budokai, you cannot start transformed in battle. When you go to Versus, you can only equip your transformations, you cannot actually start transformed. However, in the story mode of the game, during certain story fights, the enemy you fight, not you, will actually be transformed. So, Goku versus Cell, Goku won't start as a Super Saiyan, but Cell will start in perfect form. This is very weird because the game could easily just make you start Super Saiyan, but it only makes the enemy start transform. My guess is for a difficulty reason, but it really sucks because in Infinite World this problem is fixed in the story mode, but not in Budokai 3. Cyberman and Cell Jr. Cyberman and Cell Jr. is referring to multiple things actually. For one, they were in Budokai 1 and 2 as NPCs you could not play as with their own movesets and everything. In Budokai 3 they were finally added to the roster to be able to be played as, but unfortunately the blue capsules are no longer a thing in Budokai 3 so you can't experience their full movesets. But that's not the only thing about these guys. Inside of Budokai 3 when you pick them inside of Versus, you of course can select how many health bars you want, but in game when you actually play as these guys, they have 7 health bars like normal. However, when one is killed, an animation will play, spawning the other one. This can add a lot of tech for people who are really good at combos, and someone who can be really good at Cell Jr. could probably become a very big threat. Budokai 4 Mod. Budokai 4 Mod is referring to a project being created by Dr. Dopietta and some other people, in which they are taking Infinite World specifically and changing it into what Budokai 4 probably would have been way back in the day. They're adding a few new characters like Infinite World did, they're changing how the gameplay worked, and they're keeping what made Budokai 3 and Infinite World special, and not changing too much for Budokai 4. They're even adding online compatibility if I'm not mistaken. This is an amazing project that I'm super excited for. You can even do crazy things like start transformed, you could do crazy things like have new characters, at the same time keeping what made Infinite World and Budokai 3 so special. This mod is awesome and I definitely cannot wait for it to be released. Major kudos to every member on that team who's creating Budokai 4. Dragon Fist What If. Dragon Fist What If is referring to Super Saiyan Goku and Beyond's ultimate attacks, in which he does the Spirit Bomb. But he doesn't. He absorbs the Spirit Bomb after when he would normally throw it. When he absorbs it, he charges up and then does the Dragon Fist, in which he defeated Hirudegarn with. This is also very strange because Hirudegarn is nowhere to be found in the Budokai game. But I can tell you right now, this ultimate is one of, if not the best ultimate in the entire game. The absolute badassery of him absorbing the Spirit Bomb, charging up, and then just flying at the opponent is something that is very hard to top. Fusion Training Chain. Fusion Training Chain is referring to the game's training mode, in which fusion capsules behave a lot differently than they did in Budokai 2. In Budokai 2, when you use a fusion mode inside of training, the timer would never run out. However, in Budokai 3, the timer will run out in training mode for some reason. This is very weird because in training mode, why does it matter if you have an infinite fusion? I guess maybe if you're practicing combos as Gogeta or something, it would be unrealistic to have infinite time, but I'm not entirely sure if I agree with that, if they could just make it an option to be able to be turned off for one. I don't know why this was changed, but it's probably an oversight by the developers. Special intros. Special intros refer to the game's versus mode in which certain characters have special intros with each other. We all know the base intros of the game, however, very specific situations and fight matchups will call special intros to play. Those being stuff like Goku and Bardock, Goku and Vegeta, Goku and Omega. Pretty much a lot of Gokus, but even some non-Goku characters get special intros as well. Very fun way to spice up versus mode.
Come on.
King Bigelow!
Accept my challenge, Kakarot! Right, let's do it!
Omega Shenron. Omega Shenron is referring to, of course, Omega Shenron, where he starts out as Omega in this game and has 7 base key bars from starting out in the fight. This is unbelievably broken because if you don't know, having 7 base key bars means at 0 key, his key will charge all the way up to 7. Most characters start with 3 key bars, maybe 4 or 5, that increases as you transform. But since Sin Shenron's out in this game, and Omega's the only one, Omega starts with 7 key bars. Kid Buu is close with starting with 6, but starting with 7 is unbelievably broken because it allows you to get your ultimate off a lot easier, getting dragon rushes. Omega is overall a very broken character, but it makes sense since he's of course the final boss of Dragon Ball at this point. What If Stories. What If Stories is once again referring to the Dragon Universe mode of Dragon Ball Z Budokai 3, in which there are certain what-if scenarios. Similar to Budokai Tenkaichi 3, Raging Blast, and Xenoverse, there are various what-if scenarios on what would have happened if things went a little bit differently. For example, after Goku defeats Super Buu inside of Buu's body, there's actually a secret scenario in which Goku can fight Broly, and various little things like this are sprinkled out through the entirety of Dragon Universe for all the characters.
You're the one who defeated Frieza? I should have wiped you Saiyans out a long time ago.
Oh no, he's even stronger than Frieza!
At last, Kakarot, I have become a Super Saiyan. I defeated Frieza in an instant. My power is now superior to yours in every way. Fight me, Kakarot.
Vegeta! Okay, let's do it!
Destroyed Urban Area Oddity. So Destroyed Urban Area, of course, if you pick the urban area on the stage select screen, you can play on the Destroyed Urban Area. Kind of like Destroyed Namek and Archipelago and the Earth, of course. However, on those stages like Archipelago and Namek, when you destroy those stages, they will actually get their unique destroyed version of themselves. The Archipelago and Namek have unique destroyed variations, while the Destroyed Earth doesn't. But the Urban Area also has a destroyed variation. However, if you destroy the urban area with an ultimate attack, it actually does not destroy the urban area. It puts you in the Destroyed Earth stage, not the Destroyed Urban Area. The only way you can access the Destroyed Urban Area stage is through the stage select screen, which is extremely bizarre, and I guarantee you this is an oversight. A very annoying one too, because it'd be very cool to be able to just destroy the planet and be on one of the coolest stages in the game. But it's not the biggest deal since you can just select it on the stage select screen. Simple band-aid solution. Bulma. Bulma is referring to a very old legend about Budokai 3, which is actually real. Bulma being a playable character. Allow me to elaborate. In stage 11 of the game's training mode, you actually fight Bulma. Well, fight is a bit of a loose term. You more or less taught how to use capsules. But what's so strange is Bulma has her own portrait, she has her own model, she has her own voice lines, but in the game's bonus disc that comes with the collector's edition of the game, you can see Bulma's voice actor actually recording lines for Bulma. So Bulma at one point in the game was meant to be playable, and this is obviously proven by the fact she has her own portrait and model in game. Modders of course have modded her in over Videl and stuff like that, but having Bulma added to the roster would be insane, and would make the game's roster even bigger. This one's always been one of my favorite myths. This one is very cool. Ki Pidgey. This is referring to Frieza, and whenever you attack him, there's a chance you'll say Ki or Pidgey when he gets attacked. It's very strange. I don't know how this one slipped through. I assume he's not saying Ki or Pidgey, but you're not going to tell me that he's not saying Ki or Pidgey when he gets hit.
Pidgey!
It's just too obvious. Wrong Electric Aura. Wrong Electric Aura is referring to the game's Super Saiyan 2 and Super Saiyan 3 characters, in which their plasma aura, which should normally be blue, is actually yellow. This is obviously just an oversight, and honestly though, yellow Plasma Aura on Super Saiyan 2 kinda looks pretty cool. This gets fixed in later games, but you know, it's something that makes Budokai 3 stick out from the crowd. Infinite Fusion. Infinite Fusion is referring to the game's Dragon Universe once again, in which in Goku's story mode and various other characters that like to play as fusions, in story situations you actually do get infinite fusion, which is very interesting because you can of course not do this inside of Versus mode. There should be an option to have infinite fusion, but there's of course not, unfortunately. However, in the story mode, to make it stick out even more, you do get infinite fusion in certain fights, which is super awesome, and you can actually test out the characters to the best of their abilities. It's a shame there's no scenario selector though. Demon King Piccolo. Demon King Piccolo is referring to Piccolo's secret collector's edition costume, and remember when I said there's no differences? Well, that's not entirely true. Demon King Piccolo specifically does have some differences. His voice is the exact same and all that. However, his destructive wave is purple. Yeah, it's not yellow like normal, it's actually purple. This is the only collector's edition costume with this change, and with Kid Goku in the game, you can actually reenact the original fight of Dragon Ball very well. This is something that once again makes Demon King Piccolo and just Budokai 3 in general stand out with these little intricacies for these characters. Unlock Bardock when starting new game. Unlock Bardock when starting new game is referring to Bardock being unlocked if you have Budokai 2 save data on your memory card. Bardock is normally unlocked by completing Goku's Dragon Universe and then restarting Goku's Dragon Universe and then going to Grandpa Gohan's house, in which you unlock the Bardock capsule. But if you have Budokai 2 save data on your memory card, you unlock Bardock at the beginning of the game. You don't get any of his skills or anything, but you just get Bardock, which would be a nice head start in the World Tournament or something like that. Fusion Capsule voice change. This is a very strange one, in which if you have the Goku or Vegeta with the Gogeta or Vegito capsule equipped, when they fight, they will actually use Vegito and Gogeta voice clips when shooting the Kamehameha and Gallic Gun, and in various other circumstances. Take a listen. Final Explosion. Final Explosion is of course referring to Majin Vegeta's Final Explosion attack. However, inside of the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games, starting in Budokai 2, Majin Vegeta for some reason doesn't do the attack like he normally should do. Instead of staying on the ground and then just, you know, doing the final explosion, in the Dragon Ball Z Budokai games he jumps into the air and then does the explosion, which is of course a what if. It's also very strange because in Infinite World there's a cutscene of Majin Vegeta doing the final explosion on the ground. However, in the game itself he does it in the air since it was ported over from Budokai 2, Budokai 3, and so on. Very cool attack nonetheless. European and Greatest Hits gameplay differences. EU standing for, of course, the Collector's Edition, which was only released in Europe. So there actually are more differences barring just the Collector's Edition costumes. There's actually a plethora of gameplay balance changes that would take too long to list, but of course this was the old way of patching games back in the day, releasing new versions of the game with fixed updates. Player Start Transformed. Inside of the game's Dragon Universe mode, there are certain situations where the player can start transformed. More specifically, against Frieza and Buu with Goku. There is a chance if you equip the Super Saiyan capsule before the battle starts, you will start out as a Super Saiyan. This will only work on a new game, I believe, not if you restart Goku's Dragon Universe. I don't know why this is so finicky, and it only works, of course, sometimes because you need to start a new game, or I believe it can work if you restart Goku's Dragon Universe and don't put it on a breakthrough capsule. You can only have on Super Saiyan against Frieza or Super Saiyan 3 against Buu, and you'll actually be able to start out transformed. But it's still very neat. Facial Expressions. Facial Expressions is referring to the greatest hits, the European Collector's Edition, and the HD collection of Budokai 3, where inside of the Dragon Universe mode, during the visual novel cutscenes to be precise, Goku and Ko actually have facial expressions. In the original Budokai 3, they only have one stagnant PNG, of course, of the character. However, in the Collector's Edition, there's actual varying emotions between the characters, which is really cool and makes things stand out a lot, and definitely adds even more value to the greatest hits version and making the definitive version of Budokai 3. Goku Goku's Super Saiyan 4 transformation. Take a look for yourself.
What? What is this place? I don't know why, but my body hurts. What's going on here? Yes! My head is throbbing! It feels like it's gonna split in two! What's happening to me? I can't stop it! I'm losing my mind! I can feel it! I'm changing! Chi-Chi! Goten! Everyone! What is this? I don't understand it. Why did my body transform? And where did I get this incredible power? Oh well, I'll just have to figure it out later. I've got to keep moving.
Majin, Scouter, Vegeta. It's no secret to anyone that in the new games, Goku and Vegeta are split up into multiple different characters in order to give them some more diversity and to be able to get more attacks in. However, in these old games, Goku and Vegeta were only one slot, and thus little crazy things like this could happen. Vegeta, of course, has his Buu Saga outfit, his Cell Saga outfit, and even his Scouter outfit. And because they're all one character, Vegeta can go Super Saiyan in all of these outfits. This can lead to some crazy what-ifs like Majin Vegeta from the Cell Saga, Super Saiyan Scouter Vegeta, and even Super Saiyan 2 Vegeta from Namek. Of course, you can't do this in new game, barring Xenoverse with some enemies. However, if you use the Babidi's Mind Control capsule, you can actually have Vegeta go Majin in his Scouter uniform. And what's more is Vegeta doesn't just go Majin and have it be a reskin, no. Majin Vegeta has his own model and everything, and in fact his armor is destroyed. Thus they went through the extra mile in order to make this costume even cooler than it would have been already. This is one of the things that makes these old games stand out so much, and just keeps me and many others coming back even years later. Galactica Donuts. Galactica Donuts is referring to a typo inside of Gotenks' ultimate attack, Galactic Donuts. Whenever you finish a Dragon Rush with Gotenks, you'll do the Galactic Donuts. However, the capsule is mislabeled as Galactic God Donuts. A very funny oversight that I'm surprised made it on such a popular character. Though it's very unlikely you'll ever see this attack in game because of how hard it is to get. You need to get a Dragon Rush while in Gotenks and be transformed into at least Super Saiyan. Yeah, it's not very likely, but it is a very funny typo nonetheless. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan differences. Inside of Budokai 2 and 3, the graphics are insanely different. However, when it came to the character's transformations, not much has changed between the two games, barring Super Saiyan 2 Gohan. Super Saiyan 2 Gohan and Budokai 2 didn't look the greatest. At least compared to Budokai 3, he looked okay for the time, but when looking at Budokai 3, the difference is night and day. Budokai 2 did a good job, but Budokai 3 just did a better job. Super Saiyan 5 Gogeta. Yes, Super Saiyan 5 Gogeta, like my Budokai Tenkaichi 3 Iceberg, is an entry here too, because this is the game where Super Saiyan 5 Gogeta was introduced as a second alt costume for Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. Of course, as I explained, that this costume is based off fan theories of Super Saiyan 5 and what it would have looked like, the white hair and whatnot. That's where this was spawned from, and it's so awesome that this costume is in so many games, but it just really sucks it's not in the newer games. Because this costume, I'm telling you right now, you play Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta, you always go color 2. It's pretty much just an unwritten rule at this point. Well, that's going to do it for this one, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed. I had a lot of fun making this Iceberg, and even going back to Budokai 3. Budokai 3 is a very fun game that I actually visit more than even Budokai Tenkaichi at sometimes. But anyway, if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns about any of the entries on the Iceberg we talked about today, feel free to leave a comment. But anyway, guys, I'm all out of time for this one. I will see you all in the next one. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this Iceberg.
I'm here. Let's see you survive this one. You're pretty good.